Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Looney, and today we saw another one of those days where nothing really made sense. The market dumped hard in the morning following a bad day or red day from the previous day, and then we saw a V-shaped recovery, and then now we are seeing into after hours a sell-off again. So pretty much a full roller coaster. We're seeing that crypto right now is bearish. Stocks are slightly weak, and the Fed cut, it's looking less likely by the day. And on top of that, we're going to go over some positions that I got assigned on and some of my cash secured puts, which I will get into. And I'm going to break down exactly what happened and why things are so uncertain right now, and overall how I'm positioning. But before we get into this video, quick shout out to the Discord. It is free to join. And I also offer a premium membership for $8 a month, and you get access to one-on-one coaching, trade callouts. I have an option selling course. I do giveaways and more. You can check it out. All the links are in the description. So today was one of those classic volatility without any sort of direction. So if we look at the VIX, I'm always looking at the VIX. It started off really high, started at the $20, and it kind of fell off as the day went on, and slight pumps, but overall, the volatility was down. It's pretty interesting because SPY, NASDAQ, and some other positions were bleeding today. And then the midday, we saw some buyers actually step in. My portfolio was up or green on the day, which was pretty surprising. And I did take advantages of this V-shaped recovery. I ended up selling covered calls, and I did one on HIMS. I finally acquired 100 shares of HIMS, and I sold a $51 or 51 strike call. And I collected $50 on this, I believe. Yeah, I got $50 to do this, a premium of $50. And I used that $50 to buy a share. So now instead of 100 shares, I have 101. Now, HIMS is trading at 37, so I didn't buy a full share, but I did use part of that premium to actually buy shares. That's an interesting strategy. There's not really a name for it, but you can actually buy shares with the premium, and that's exactly what I did. And middle of the day, it kind of seemed like things were stabilizing. And who knows, it could have been a pump fake or a fake pump or bull trap. And that's exactly what we saw. And quickly after hours and sort of just later in the day, it's sort of just kind of the selling pressure came right back. And yeah, this is what you see when the market has no conviction. There's no direction. There's a lot of confusion. Traders are confused. Algos might be a little bit confused as well. Buyers and sellers, they're reacting to every headline minute by minute. So yeah, this is an interesting time. And yeah, this ties back to the Fed. The Fed nobody knows what the Fed is going to do in December. As of now, the odds are pretty much 50-50 on a rate cut or not. It's most likely going to be no rate cut, but who knows as we get there. And that uncertainty is also driving these violent moves. Now, I did mention crypto, and we could actually look at crypto. Now, Bitcoin is not doing well. I mean, it is definitely looking bearish, and overall, a lot of bearish momentum. Bitcoin slid down 3% today, and a lot of longs were liquidated, and just overall bearish momentum. Not really too much of buyers stepping in. Yep, there was some recovery slight, but then we quickly got rejected, and it is heading downwards. Myself, I'm just dollar cost averaging, so I don't pay attention too much to the price, but I'm actually barely positive now. I'm only up 7%. I was up almost 50 or 100% on Bitcoin. I did take some profit, so it's a little skewed on the data, but overall, it's pretty interesting that I'm pretty much at cost. And if we do go into a bear market, I'll probably be in the negatives for Bitcoin for a while. And some of my long-term holders or long-term positions are also bleeding, like Mara and Riot. It could be that long-term holders are selling on Bitcoin and other positions, but risk appetite is fading across the board right now. And if we look at Riot and Mara, they both have the same direction, so we don't need to pull up both, but Riot is, just under $14. I have some covered calls, and they all expired worthless, they expired worthless, but some of these are actually, I had a debit spread that actually went against me. So I lost on that trade. But overall, I'm only up 50%. And then my options, I'm up 300%, but it's from these covered calls. So pretty interesting. Crypto, right? Not really in a good position right now. We can't really see any sort of support. And yeah, I'm very curious to see where things go. There's a lot of dragging down with these beta plays, especially like Riot right now, Mara as well. There's a lot of institutions, going to Mara, a lot of the holders are institutions. It was actually a pretty good thing. And I do believe that the NAV is below 1. So basically the Bitcoin holdings, this stock is valued less than its Bitcoin holdings, which is pretty interesting. Would that mean that it's a cheap stock? Not necessarily, but it is worth note. And I do have some cash code puts on it. I have the $13 put, $9 put, and $10 put. So $13 might get assigned and I could lower my average cost, but these other ones, who knows, you might see some downward direction. If so, I'll get acquired. If not, I'll collect those premiums. Now, going back to the Fed cut, it is not looking likely. There's a lot of delayed data, a lot of confusion. I'm not sure if they came out with news saying that they actually might release data, but I think the jobs data is coming next week, which will give some clarity to where the Fed is heading, and the quantitative tightening is coming to an end, but that doesn't mean that quantitative easing is actually coming into effect right away. So although that is bullish news, that doesn't mean we're going to see a bullish market. Now, Powell did hint that a December rate cut is not guaranteed. Basically, I don't think we're going to see a rate cut, and it has dropped. It has dropped pretty significant with the odds of seeing a rate cut. And yeah, Fed maintaining the rate is actually more likely. And volatility is creeping higher. So yeah, my portfolio has been taking a hit. I'm not even going to lie. Past week, down 9%. Past month, 17%. And these aren't realized losses, so it's not the worst thing, but it is definitely hurting. It's definitely hurting to see the blood. I do have cash. I'm deploying cash if needed. A lot of my cash is in options. I'm slightly margined. I know this is not the best time to be in margin, but I don't think I'm totally in margin. I think once I get these Zeta puts that expired, if we go to my options, I don't think it's going to update. Let's see what it says on this. No, it hasn't updated, but if I go to Zeta, which I had a bunch of option plays, and I think I won't be in margin, or I'll have more cash available. Yeah, so I have 2 puts that expired around 3,100. So I'd be curious to see where my cash position is after tomorrow, because I think it actually updates by tomorrow. So I'm in margin, but technically not yet. A lot of my money is in option plays or cash secured puts and buying shares if needed. And the job data is expected to come next week. So now that the government is opening or reopened, there is data that needs to be broadcasted. And I don't know if that job report is going to be a bullish or bearish news, but it is going to be a huge catalyst. And if there is a strong jobs data, there's most likely no cut. Weak jobs, there actually might be a cut or a 25 basis point. Either way, one is going to move the market pretty dramatic. Now, again, we could go over my trades really quickly. I did get assigned on Webull. So Webull is like another brokerage similar to Robinhood. I believe its charts are pretty good, but it has also been struggling, down 27%. I already have 200 shares at $11, and I'm going to get acquired. Oh, no, sorry, it just updated, I think. Now, I don't know if my average cost is accurate, but I am going to get assigned that 100 shares at $10. I don't know if I had it before, but I don't think so. I think I was only at 100 prior, and now I'm at 200. So yeah, I'm okay with owning it at $10. I mean, that's what I did when I set up the put. And I do have some other cash secured puts. I have one at the $9 that also might get assigned. So I'm pretty much dollar cost averaging with option selling. And with those, I could return back into covered calls and then collect money or income while owning the shares, and maybe even buy shares, similar to what I was doing with him. So honestly, I'm fine with it. I want it at this price anyway. So either from here, I'm going to sell cover calls or just hold and lower my cost basis with more puts. And then going back to Zeta, I did not get assigned, so maybe I will begin to sell more puts on Zeta. So that's what's going on with Zeta. And I didn't get notified that it was dropping significant. So I have not placed any recent trades, but I do like Zeta, and I still have one open at the $14. This one's actually looking really good. I might even close this one early. This one is expected to expire. I don't think it's next week, but in 2 weeks. So maybe I'll close this one early, but we'll see. So yeah, overall, everything was shaky. SoFi was pretty weak as well. If I just pull up SoFi, I had a cover call that I closed. I'm not entirely sure why I did that. I think I just kind of rushed in and didn't really think about it. Actually, SoFi wasn't down that much, but SoFi was down. Pretty much everything was down. Riot was weak, crypto all bleeding. But I'm not panic selling. I don't think this is a time to sell. I also don't think this is a time to buy aggressive. I know I say that even though most of my money is in cash grid puts, but most of my cash grid puts are pretty low. And if we do go to those prices that I have set, then I'm okay with that. I'm okay with getting acquired at those prices. And that's really the best place for option sellers, is when there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility, and that's where we are right now. So my plan from here is I'm not chasing the bounce. I'm selling puts on stocks I'm 100% okay with owning. Something like even the HIMS leverage. I own HIMS, and owning a leverage position of HIMS would also help as well, getting even more exposure and being able to sell covered calls and collect even more premium. I'm also going to prepare to sell covered calls for my new Webull shares and collect that premium. I'm going to hopefully have some cash available. I'm planning to increase my cash position pretty soon. I think in a few months, you'll see my cash position increase, not diving too much into margin, a little bit, but not a ton. I am watching VIX, paying super close attention to VIX and see where it is going. It did have a massive rise early in the day and then kind of fell off and had some subtle bounces, but for the most part was down. And the overall Fed decision and just overall the state of the economy with the quantitative easing versus tightening and just where we're heading, and with the jobs report as well. And this is where discipline really matters. This is where there's no emotion, not guessing, and just overall just discipline is important. So yeah, today was messy. The market was confused, crypto bearish, Fed unclear, jobs next week as well, and volatility is going to stay high most likely. I'm staying calm, sticking to the plan, and positioning for opportunity while most people might be panicking. If you found this helpful, drop a like and comment how you handled today's volatility, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.